I am all ears. The Ghost Fancast.
Hello, welcome to the I Am All Ears podcast with me, Alvo. Right, we have something very exciting, very controversial. I'm here to announce that the lost project of Tobias Forge, Passiflora, has been leaked.
Woo!
Oh.
Oh, I've never thought I would be able to hear this album, and it leaked. We'll get on to how this leaked and how this appeared because it's quite a funny story. But like, I want to go through everything because a lot of people actually don't know about this. I've seen a lot of people on TikTok being like, "What? What leaked? What is this?"
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. Just a quick disclaimer: we do not make any money on this podcast. Therefore, this is not content farming in order to get views, money, etc. Because I know there's a lot of controversy around this leak. We are just here to spread the word of what's happening, to inform, to have a bit of a chat about it. This is just basically a glorified Discord chat that you all get to listen to.
Yeah.
And
Very parasocial dick writing fangirls are very happy that we finally get to hear this, and we just want to talk about it and record it for future posterity.
yeah, and it's just sometimes so much happens in this fandom that sometimes it's nice to like look back on and be like, oh yeah, this happened, and like you have a look something, ironically, something to have out in public to listen back to to remember.
I just we're just shit talkers who just happen to like stay informed with everything, and we just want to do a little recap and share our own opinions for those who are willing to listen, I guess.
Yeah, so obviously these opinions are just our opinions. We're not making any funds from it. We know that there's a lot of controversy around this with like whether or not Tobias wanted this released or not, and we'll get onto that. But we just want to go on record and say if it was to come out where if he was to come out and say this needs to not exist, can you pull any sort of discussion? Can you pull any sort of like word on this? We will happily oblige and take this down. And if you're listening, King, hi.
Yeah, we love your work.
We have a lot of questions.
This
Please
album
come talk.
actually is really good. Like, you're actually
Yeah.
really talented.
Yeah.
You should let people listen to it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, just a suggestion.
Stop putting yourself down.
Did you ever think of making a band? Like, you're very talented. Have you ever thought of it professionally?
Passiflora vinyl when?
Oh my
Love
god.
you, King. Love you, King.
Kane.
Keep up the great work.
You deserve all the money on this the
Yeah,
album.
the little Korean heart hand thing to you, where you put the thumb
Yeah.
on the thing. Like,
Drop me your PayPal. I'm happy to give you money for this album because I really enjoy it, rather than give it to some random like
Yeah.
scalpers.
I would gladly give it money for this. You know what I mean? Like like the Repugnant CD that we put up on randomly on the merch store. Like, here, I found a box of them, and I was like, give me.
Yeah.
Like, I want to give you money. Give me
Yeah.
your PayPal account. What's your
Imagine, like,
Venmo?
the old repugnant / zine days and be like, hey, I'm gonna send you £6. So I'm gonna send you $6 for this.
Yeah. I mean, this guy used to tape trade. He used to make bootlegs himself
Yeah.
and then ask for his stamps back. So I feel like he would approve,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But that's just me.
And he's a collector now, so he understands. Like, I guarantee you, he wouldn't be like whenever I was talking to this with my boyfriend, I was saying like, this is the kind of concept of like having an album that James Hetfield made just before he went into Metallica, and being like, but James didn't want anyone to hear it. It's like, I don't give a shit. It's a very important album because it's an album before he went into the biggest project of his life. Let me hear it.
Oh, he would 100% like listen to
Yeah.
it. And bear in mind, he's friends with James. Like, he'd probably still go behind his back and listen.
Yeah,
to
he'd
it.
listen to it and then text him, being like, I listened to your first album, lol. It was great.
And then he gets text back, sorry, who's this?
Kiss emoji.
No, I'm joking. So what is Passiflora? Obviously, it was a
work of art.
it is a work of art. So allegedly, this was supposed to be Subvision's second album, but they were kind of in Magna Carta cartel at the time, like all the members, and there was going to be some confusion. And then Tobias was like, "I want to release a solo record, but it's going to be Tobias Forge and Magna Carta cartel." But again, it was also confusing, so it ended up going to be his solo record. Now, if you've had the opportunity to listen to the whole of Subvision's back catalogue, including Pulse for Pig Snops, Pulse is a little bit more of a sexy album, but like it still has the themes that blend into so far
Sad
so
and
noir.
horny, whereas all the rest of Subvision is just sad.
Yeah. It's rumored that he got his heart broken by two women, and that's why you've got the track Alienor on Pearls Pixel because it's the blend of their two names. But this is also like carried on throughout, like I say, Subvision and now Passiflora. So, it's a very sad emo boy album.
Mm.
Hmm.
We'll get into it, like the lyrics and what they mean, and the relations to some of the things he's written about before, and also later on in his
Mm-hmm.
career, which is interesting.
Where a lot of this information came from, like actually like Martin Persner, which was AKA Omega, AKA one of Tobias's old besties from the Subvision days, actually went on Instagram and like kind of like told the story of how this happened, and he posted this like May last year.
Mm.
So this is like a very recent like thing that he like kind of confirmed that like this is how it went down. So if you wanted to like kind of like see this information for yourself, like he literally made this long post talking about how one of Magna Carta Cartel's songs came from this album, and he told the story of how it was supposed to be a Subvision album. It later on became Tobias's solo project that he made 10
Mm.
promo CDs to bring to record labels in the hopes of getting picked up, but no luck. And that's a direct quote from him, by the way.
So then, obviously, like you say, he took it to these record companies. It didn't get picked up, and then he was like, "Well, this must be fucking shit. I'm never gonna touch this again." Then, sort of throughout time, these have gone kind of underground and almost been like fucking drug dealing type things, where it's like
Hmm.
I just thought of the Lord
passed
of the
on.
Rings quote: "History became legend, legend became myth."
They were sold on to for like at one point thousands of dollars, like
Mm.
five
The,
thousand
the
dollars.
the highest we ever saw was last year. It got listed for $5,000.
Mm,
Mind you, again, like Martin said in his Instagram post, there was only 10 promo CDs that were made.
mm.
So technically there are only 10 official copies of this, and every other version is like a bootleg from those copies. So
Yeah,
there's just a handful of them around.
I think I read somewhere there's like 50 or something like that, and like I think someone found one at like a Swedish flea market or
Mm.
something like that, because I think it was just a copy that he'd given around to like a friend or something.
Hmm.
That he'd burnt all these at home, by the way, which I think a lot of people put the value on the fact that it's hand burnt, it's hand signed. So
Hmm.
I think that's where part of the value comes from, but also just like I said, the rarity of it. And yeah, it's been controversial because obviously some have said that it shouldn't be sold for this amount of profit because obviously the money's not going to Tobias.
Mm.
There's the whole gatekeeping argument that's sort of surrounding it.
Yeah.
And yeah, this has been going on for a couple of years. We have had two songs from this album, which we'll get onto later because it turns out that this isn't actually the album version of the songs. We've had two songs come out onto YouTube, which were House of Affection and In Enigma Schiffer, which never got taken down. So,
Yeah.
that was questionable.
That
I think those versions came from his MySpace from what I read.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's why I kind of stand behind the idea that he doesn't care that people can hear these things. Because if he cared, he would have taken those down too.
Mm,
But they're like, there's hundreds of versions of them on YouTube, you
yeah.
know.
Hmm.
So he doesn't care. Like,
And also then later down the line we had MCC, Magna Carta Cartel, obviously his old band with Martin Pasner and an ex-Ghoul. Release, was it 2022? That's their, was it the Dine Option, is that what it's called? That album that
I
has
think
Savant
so.
God, which was a song on Passiflora, came out because they kind of went to him as like, I think Martin may have written, we'll get into Savant God later, but like I think Martin had something to do with writing that songs, and he was like,
Yeah.
can we use this as an MCC song instead? And he was like, yeah, sure. So we heard a version of that through them.
Hmm.
So yeah, a lot of debates gone on. I believe in, if we remember correctly, January of last year there was a feud because someone.
January of last year, this is kind of when this feud
Yeah, well,
started. Because basically it was I think it was like January. I want to say January 17th, 2024. A copy of Passiflora went on. I think it was Discogs. It
Yeah,
went on Discogs for $5,000.
which is insane.
And this was probably the first time in a long while that this was like listed as like a posting, and like a lot of people were like wondering if it was like legit or anything. Who posted it? Was it like this, like, was it one of the big time collectors that seemed to have like claimed this album as their own type of thing?
Mm.
um People didn't know what was going on, and basically what happened was, like, we saw people saw this. There were actually a group of Twitter users who actually tried to start a GoFundMe to try and like group purchase it, because like the basically the Twitter side of the fandom like believes in preserving lost media,
Mm-hmm.
and the only way to do that is to like basically make it like public access. So they started a GoFundMe with the intention of like they wanted to buy the copy, and post files online for people to hear it, because practically no one has heard it.
Mm.
And it started a whole controversy, and it was basically like the Twitter fandom and like the Facebook fandom, specifically the collector Facebook fandom. They started all these narratives kept getting shared around, and like the main narrative that collectors seem to like be pushing, and like, the same one they repeat over and over, is that Tobias never intended for this to be released. This goes against his wishes. It's disrespectful, and that's just something that they kind of been repeating all the time. Every time Passiflora is mentioned, that's the narrative they live with.
And yet they can't provide the source to it. They just say, "Well, it's what
Yeah.
we believe," and it's like, "Well, there you go. You've just contradicted that."
It's like, well, he would have, if he wanted to have people here, he would have uploaded it. It's like, no, not really, because he never
Mm.
uploaded Pearls, Pig Snobs, or whatever. But people
Mm.
can still listen to that, and people willingly will share that around,
Yeah,
Mhm.
So, like,
but
I don't know what the difference between Pearls and Passiflora is, other than the
Yeah.
fact that there's
And
so
then
few copies of Passiflora compared to, like, there's not very many copies of Pearls as well. Because
yeah,
again,
I got
but that's another one that he burned in his house and ripped and sent to people.
yeah.
Like, I don't understand the difference.
I mean, I've got a copy of that. You don't see me doing that.
Yeah,
and then you have people, they'll say it in the same breath of how like he never intended it to be released, but then like later on they'll say, oh yeah, 10 promo copies were made to bring to record labels with the intention of it being released. So it's like, which is it? Did he want it
Yeah,
released, or didn't he didn't want it
yeah,
released? Like
Yeah.
you're not making any sense. And every single time someone just asks, like, can you just tell me where he said this? I legitimately just want to know, because I can't find anything myself. And that this is what everyone is saying. Like, where did he say this? And like no one can provide like a straightforward answer, and all they're saying is just like, uh there are some fans who respect his wishes by keeping it amongst their circle of friends. And there was also a conversation that came up last year when this first started, um, where, like, with people like listing it, because they these like group of collectors wanted to keep it sort of like exclusive and everything. There was like this, I don't know if it was like a rumor, or this is just this is just how it was supposed to go, that like if you wanted to purchase a copy of Passiflora, which again was always listed for thousands and thousands of dollars,
yeah,
you had to like agree or like sign like some weird contract or something, that you agree not to upload it online, that this is only for collector purposes and everything, which just sounds really weird and shady.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, also,
So
it's like, it's not your property to do that. Like, I understand the kind of, I understand the idea of rarity within collectors and having these kind of holy grail, pieces, because you have that even within like t-shirt collecting and stuff too. But like, I would never sell somebody an Elizabeth t-shirt and be like, you have to promise you'll never wear that out in public.
Like, this is a collector's item that's only meant for collector purposes. It's
Yeah.
not meant to be enjoyed.
It's like, bitch, just make sure you wash it properly, okay? That's all I'm asking.
The thing is as well is like I can kind of understand, that there is a market for like rarity and like,
Hmm.
things have value because like they're just rare. And I understand that. What gripes me is the contradictory nature of it, of where you will say that it goes against his wishes and that you should be respecting an artist, but then you are yourself profiting a lot of
Yeah.
money when that artist isn't getting anything. Like if
Yeah.
let's say I had a copy of Passiflora, like a legit copy, I wouldn't then feel comfortable saying those things. I'd understand that I'm privileged enough that I have this copy and that
Mm.
it's a lot of money and I've spent a lot of money on it, and that I would be aware that it's not going directly to him, and I would just feel lucky to have one. I wouldn't then go on saying like, "Oh, but it's disrespectful to do this, X, Y, and Z,"
Yeah.
because it's hypocritical. Yes.
Yeah, it's also this idea of like being like, well, it's not, it's not gatekeeping and it's not bad if you can't afford it in the first place. And you're like, why can't I afford it in the first place? Because who's putting the price on this?
Mhm.
You know what I
It's
mean?
it's all this it's all like the same people too. Like,
Mm.
by the way, we're not going to say any names.
No.
But it's all the same people who, like, they say the exact same thing. They have like a script that they read off of, just like, uh he never intended to be released. It's disrespecting his wishes. There are like a group of fans that know and respect this, and it's just like, I and then all of their supporters like just repeat it, and it's
Yeah.
just like, can anyone tell me where he said he never wanted this release? Because we were talking about this before we started recording, because we kind of wanted to like figure out the order that we wanted to discuss this. But basically, yeah, it's just like they just all repeat it, and then it's just like, can anyone just give me like a genuine answer of like where he said this? And like, no one is able to say anything. And then like they all kind of like, they always like bring it up in the same breath too, like, oh, he never intended to be released, he doesn't want this release. And it's like, okay, well, like, how did this start anyway? Why do copies exist in the first place? And
Mm.
then they'll tell you, oh, 10 promo CDs were made to bring to record companies with the intention of it being released. It's like, so did he want it released or did he not want it released? What I always believed, based on that information, and again, this is public information. You can go on Martin Purzer's Instagram, and you can see he ran down the entire story of how this went down, and he said himself that 10 copies were made, uh, and Tobias sent them out to record companies, in the hopes of landing a deal. No luck.
Yeah.
Therefore, Tobias just does what he always does, where if something doesn't work out and he doesn't become rich and famous off of one project, he
Mhm.
moves on to the next one.
Mm.
So solo project with Passiflora didn't work out, and I think would believe the timeline would then be he did like a reunion thing with Repugnant, and then while doing that, he came up with Ghost.
Mm.
No, what happened was he wrote Ghost. He wrote Stand by Him.
Ah, yeah.
And then Gura said to him, like, like, oh, we could make a band out of this. And he said he didn't want to try and make another band because at that point he'd been burned by trying to do so many bands. That he then was like, if I can write 2 more songs that are like this, then I may try. Because at that point, I think he can, like, because we'll get into it when we're talking about the actual album itself. At that point, I do feel like he felt like maybe Passiflora was like a last chance type thing.
Mm.
Because like at that point with 2008, he would have been what, 20?
27.
Yeah, 26, 27. And like you have this idea in your head that if you don't become famous by 19, then you're not going to ever become famous. Even and so like he's 26, 27 at that point, and he's thinking to himself, like Passiflora, in his head might be his last chance to get it. Then he wrote Stand By Him as a joke because because in Swedish this Satan's night to night sounds like Satan's nut to nut, and because he's eternally 15. And then Gura was like, oh, this is cool. We could make a band out of this. And he's like, if I can write 2 more, then maybe.
Mm.
you know, and then he wrote 2 more, and then he was like, oh shit, I could maybe do this, you know. And then Ghost came about in that way, and I think he brought Repugnant back as a way to kind of use them as a almost like a backpack in a sense for Ghost.
Yeah.
Because we knew people liked Repugnant, because like after Repugnant kind of vanished, then people were like, oh, Repugnant's so cool. So he's like, if I bring Repugnant back for these kind of like reunion tour type thing, I can then be like, I also have this other band, Ghost, that could maybe have some setlist stuff. Because like if you look at like the Repugnant shows, he did a lot of festival dates that had Ghost attached to it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had like a ghost sticker. Mary Gore had a ghost sticker on his
Mm,
guitar.
yeah,
And then there were um at least one. I'm pretty sure there was like maybe a couple more, but at least one night where he did both Repugnant and then he changed into Ghost.
it
Yeah,
must
he
have
did
been
that.
knackered.
He did that twice, as far as I'm aware. I know he did it at the Klubben show in Sweden, in Stockholm,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and he also did it at Maryland Death Fest when it was the first time they went to the States.
yeah,
Bro was working a double.
yeah. But like I think that's why like that's why I found it so annoying that people were so gatekeepy about the album, because it's well, again, we'll get more into it, obviously when we're actually talking about the album, but I feel like it's an important piece in the puzzle, you know, for like if you kind of following his career as a writer, it's in like you said, well, like this stuff in it that reflects on things he did later, and I think it's like I said that we did the podcast last year about whenever when this kind of controversy initially happened, that like it's an important step that was missing.
Well,
Mhm.
one of the things I wanted to quickly bring up is like obviously like the genre shifts. I know
Yeah,
like he kind of like shifted this way with So Far So Noir, but then this kind of was an extension of that. And then for him to go back into, going back to Repugnant with originally the intention of making a second album and obviously starting Ghost, so going back into the more hard rock scene
yeah,
after going sort of like almost indie. So
Mhm.
he's all over the place during this time because he's at the same time as writing this and trying to get this off the ground. He's writing Ghost stuff, like he's obviously starting to write like Death Knell and what was the other one? Was it Elizabeth after
yeah.
Satan's
Yeah.
Night? And then obviously he's thinking bring Repugnant back together. It's like pick a lane.
That's what I like about him, that he can write
Oh,
everything.
I know, I'm joking.
I know, but I think it's great to look at an artist that will do all these things, because it makes you then as an artist be like, I don't have to be trapped inside this bubble that I feel like I've put myself in.
Yeah.
He just kind of I think it feels like he just genuinely just cast a big net and just see whatever landed.
Yeah, because Ghost is fundamentally the child of Repugnant and Subvision and Passiflora.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like it's basically all the things that he'd done before. Because like I think the problem was he felt like he had to pick, like you said, pick a lane. Like he wanted to do death metal, rock, kind of hard rock. So he did Repugnant, but that bored him because he doesn't just like death metal; he also likes ABBA. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like,
Um,
and then he made Subvision, which then bored him as well, because he doesn't just want to do pop indie rock, because again he likes
so
Cannibal
like
Corpse.
and then Ghost came to be, and Ghost
Yeah,
is and he is he's said before that like Ghost is like more interesting just because like pretty much anything can be a Ghost song. Like
yeah,
if you think about it and you just give it a try, he could literally turn anything into a Ghost song. Because like Dance Macabre, for example,
hmm,
he wrote it with the intention of it being like for somebody else, and then someone said, no, this is totally a Ghost song. He's like, all right, cool. And then it became one of the most famous Ghost songs that are out there right
yeah,
now. So literally, like, Ghost is so cool because he can go and like he can do like kind of like more like harder rock things and it fits. And then he can also do something that's more melodic and more poppy and it still fits. So
hmm,
he has like room to like try out different things like even on the same album and it works.
yeah. Like
Uh
look at Impera, because Impera you have Respite in the Spellfields.
Darkness at the Heart, My Love.
Yeah, Darkness at My Love, and also 20s, which was based off of Brazilian rapper. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what I think. I know we're not talking about Ghost right now, but like, it all comes back to Ghost in the end because obviously that's the one that worked. But I think that's why it works is because he finally let himself write everything, and it, you know, like he would take from everything, like ABBA and Cannibal Corpse and all this stuff. Like, obviously, Ghost is not very isn't death metal in the slightest, but it borrows the outfit of death metal with the paint, you know, and it's very hard rock. It's got it's very primordial metal. It's, you know, like Black Sabbath and stuff like that there. You know, and you can, but like again, like I said, going back to Passiflora, that's why it's important because you can hear Ghost in it.
You
You
can
know,
like
Yeah.
when we go through lyrics, like there's he literally reuses like, you know,
Yeah.
phrases from these things. So Ghost is like just a way for him to like, you know, bring back these ideas and these lyrics that
yeah,
he liked, but now he has a better platform to bring it back. It's like
yeah.
it didn't work because I was stuck in this genre before, but now I'm in a band that's kind of like almost its own genre, so I can do whatever the fuck I want, and the people will eat it up.
He literally is taking everything that he learned before and using it. Like
Yeah.
this is part of the journey.
Yeah. Well, talking about platforms and the journey, should we talk about how this got uploaded?
Oh
Yes.
my god.
Beautiful.
The most
Yes.
iconic way possible.
So this got how this got uncovered is really weird. So it's the account that uploaded it was made on the day before Valentine's Day, a fresh brand new account, and people were getting a link in their I don't know what the app's called, but it was a bit like Ask FM where it's like an anonymous question
Like
thing.
there one person got it off of like a weird app, and then I saw two people got
In
it
a
on Tumblr. It was like an
yeah.
anonymous link on Tumblr, and it was just like, happy Valentine's Day, I made you a playlist. And like
Yeah.
it looks so fake, but like, oh my god, it was real.
Yeah, so then you click on the link and it takes you to a
A
first video
playlist.
that's a playlist with the first video being Slime Tutorial 1 with this weird ass dog that's having like a fucking lobotomy and like ketamine injected into it. But
It's like it's one of those like cracked out like internet images.
Yeah.
yeah,
And like it just says slime tutorial 1. It's in a playlist just called slime tutorials, and then all the other videos are they all say slime tutorial 2, slime tutorial 3. It's 10 slime tutorials. The first one has this cracked out like ketamine dog, and then all the other ones have the cover art of Passiflora.
yeah,
And then if you listen to them, it actually is the songs from
yeah,
Passiflora in order, fully clear, legitimate. Like we were sharing, like we posted it in like our Discord, just being like, guys, this is not a drill, and like some of y'all thought it was fake. They're like, no way,
Yeah.
there's no way this is real. Like our
Because there was a discussion I saw even on Twitter. People going, "Is this AI?" I was like, "No,
no,
no
no,
AI could be this
No.
sad."
no,
no, like because like our friend Jess was like, I'm not clicking on it, I'm not buying it. I was like, Jess, no, I swear to God, I swear to God.
We're like,
yeah,
I was just
no,
like,
no,
I
we
was
would
like,
not
this is
lie to
either
you, our beautiful wife. It's real.
like I was like, this is either some super advanced AI or someone who sounds just like him.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's any of those, so I think it's actually legit.
Well, one thing we forgot to mention was the fact that there is a video on YouTube of a song called "The Breeze" that was done live.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, whatever year it was, like
It looks like he's wearing
2008.
no trousers.
Yeah, so we know like what that song kind of sounded like, and the first track, Slime Tutorial 1, is The Breeze, and I was like, well, this is definitely a studio version of that song, so the rest have got to
Yeah.
be legit because around on the internet there's been like little teasers of song lyrics, and people have spoken about who have heard it have spoken about it. So you can cross reference it to that and to know that this is the real thing, and you're like, the fuck. But I love slime tutorials. Slime tutorials is a thing because I think a lot of people
Yes.
aren't sure.
It's a
About it,
Broadway thing.
it's
Yeah.
just yeah, it's to share bootlegs from Broadway shows,
Yeah.
isn't it? So that it doesn't
Mhm.
get
Yeah.
copyright stricken.
Yeah, because you can find Wicked, you can find Hades Town, you can find like Les Mis, all under like vague
Well, slime
titles, slime
tutorials.
tutorial. You
Yeah.
know, there's because I linked one the other day for Hades Town that says, Twink versus Goth Underworld Daddy.
But yeah, it was just really funny. And then also like the display name of the person who made this
Yeah,
YouTube channel is Apple Juice Enjoyer, and I'm just like,
it's Copia. He did it. He uploaded
it was
it.
bias all along.
He doesn't know how to do slime tutorial videos. Come on, even I don't know that, and I'm slightly younger.
But yeah, no, it seems so fake. And then also we also know it was real because like as soon as we started catching on to
Mhm.
it, that's when the collector fandom lost their mind.
We won't be
Mm.
sharing this on this platform. This is going against his wishes. You're not a real fan if you listen to it. And I'm sitting there, by the way, I'm sitting there going, don't go knocking the door to the house of fiction. Like, so I can hear you.
But yeah, there were like people were just going insane like, "Oh, you call yourselves real fans. This just shows that like big fan accounts just post for clout." And it's just like blah 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 like literally like losing their minds, spiraling. And it's because their collection just went down in value by a few grand. And
Yeah.
I that is my belief. I'm sorry. I'm very opinionated about this specific topic. Like because they all share the same narrative before of just like this goes against Tobias's wishes. But again, it's all the people saying it are all the people who have heard it themselves, and all the
Yeah.
people who have a copy in their collection that's
Mhm.
worth thousands of dollars. And now that it came out, it decreased in value, and
Yeah.
that is why they're spiraling. That's why they're spreading this narrative, because they don't want to say that they lost value in their collection. They want to say, oh, they're being respectful of the artist. Like, you're not entitled to work from your favorite artist if it doesn't come from him directly. And it's like, listen,
Mm,
I want to give him money for this.
yeah.
Like King, drop your PayPal right now. I will send you money right now, right here,
You
right
want a
now.
postal order? I can pay you in the value in stamps. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, like
$6 worth of stamps. I'll send you $6 worth of stamps. Like I'll figure out how to do
tell me
that. Like you
what
know what I mean? Like,
what's your price? I will give you whatever you want. Like I want
yeah,
to give him money. If he decided to release this on his own, I bet you I would buy like 10 different variations of it.
yeah,
Like I want to give him money. I don't want to I don't want to like steal from him in a way. Like if there's a way for me to like properly compensate him for me being able to listen to this work of art, I will do it. But
Mm.
until then, I will listen to it on my local files on Spotify.
yeah. And also continue to buy Ghost merch for the band that he's currently doing.
Yeah, like oh,
Exactly.
you're still getting money from me. I promise you.
Yeah, I'll buy an extra
And
T-shirt.
can I just say that having it digitally available for people to just listen to doesn't really affect the value of the actual physical
No,
piece of media because there's still only 10 of them available. Like,
10 official ones, but
yeah, like,
it's just that now it's not as exclusive as it was before,
yeah,
because
like,
the part of the rarity of it is that it is technically unreleased.
yeah,
So like even though like there are physical copies that exist around, it's a fact that the songs only existed in those physical copies, that because no one wanted to post it online, because then it's not as rare. It's not
yeah.
as exclusive.
yeah. But a good example of this is actually again Repugnant, because whenever Repugnant went offline, because I think Soulseller, the original people who were the label that owned the rights to Repugnant, their ownership of it kind of lapsed. And so it was taken off of Spotify and off Amazon Music and all this here, and it went away. And immediately on Discogs, the albums all
Mm.
tripled in price.
Yeah.
You couldn't
Mhm.
like because before there used to be so many Repugnant albums on Discogs. Like you could get the picture disc and all this here, all different like reprints of it and all this here. And they're all kind of like they're still expensive because obviously they're like the things like the original versions of the picture disc and the version that had the posters and all, like they're very limited because and the
Of the content.
yeah, but not even just the content, because they had no money. Like because like the original version of the CD has no barcode on it.
Oh, okay.
You know, so like I think they were being like made by the band. So like
Mhm.
so like they don't have there's not, because like that version with the poster there's only 666 copies.
Yeah.
You know, which is
Nerd.
nerd. Yeah, and then the picture disc, there's like very few copies of that because again, it's very expensive to make, and then the CD without the barcode, but they were expensive, but like not to the point where you were like, Jesus Christ, you know.
Like it's like completely out of a realistic price
Yeah,
range.
yeah, but the second they went off Spotify, the reprint of the vinyl tripled in price. Like the reprint, not just even the original versions, you know? And then the original versions of the vinyls, again, quadrupled in price. And it's just because, again, the lack of access, you know? Because then, like, Repugnant wasn't on Spotify anymore, or YouTube or anything like that there. It was nowhere for a good couple of months. The prices have never even went down because once they go up, you can't really bring them back down, really. Like
Mhm.
they get a bit cheaper because then people have access, but because somebody has already bought it at like $200-300, the next collector's going to be like, well, I'm not going to be listing
That's
mine for any cheaper than that, you know?
yeah, like that's kind of how it works. Like just in the
Yeah,
collecting world, it's just like once something is able to sell for that high of a price, that's the current market for it.
yeah,
Because that's what happened. That's what happened with the first edition of Phallus Mortis.
mm,
Yeah.
When it was only like the like what 700 copies or whatever,
Mhm.
700 versions of that were made or something. And then it got to a point where it legitimately sold for like 4,000 something dollars. And then more people were listing it, and they said like, oh, I saw one sell the other day for like 4,000. So that's the market. So
yeah,
I'm not accepting anything less than that.
Mhm.
And then
and
that
then
became the market for it. And then like a few days later, I think a week later, that's when Ghost re-released it, and I thought that was just so funny.
It's so petty. I love it. I think it's quite interesting. Like going back to what I think we may have said this. I can't remember if we said this off air or not. About like obviously things like I said, House of Affection and Enigma Shifter were on YouTube. Why have
yeah,
they not been pulled? And then when you said that about Pearls for Pig Snaps being like unreleased and it's the same sort
yeah,
of thing. There's only a few copies going round. I am fortunate enough that I got in while it was still going for cheap and I still paid
yeah,
too much for it. So I have a copy. I still personally want everyone in this goddamn fandom to have heard Pony Toon.
yes,